Guys show, episode number 10 here with Ginger Lewman on October 28th, the week of Halloween. We are here sponsored by the EdReach Network that gives educators a big voice. Here with my co-host, as always, Brad Wade.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brad Wade. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us on the show tonight, episode 10, with the awesome and famous Ginger Lewman. Ginger, thank you and welcome. Glad you're having us join us tonight.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. You guys are cracking me up every time you say famous. I think I'm famous within our circle of 5 friends. So thanks, yeah.
Well, you're famous to us.
Absolutely.
So that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
You can find me at TechMinoc on Twitter, or you can check out our blog, www.twoguysandsomeipads.com is where you can find all the information about us.
And you can find me at TechBradWade on Twitter. You can also follow us on Instagram, Two Guys Some iPads on Instagram. So, all right, Ginger. Well, you know you're a friend of the show. We've chatted many times over the last 6 months. The way this works, you'll join us for the show. We'll go through all our regular segments of the show, but in between there, we'll have an awesome interview with you where we'll discuss a lot of things. I think we might even do some wrestling back and forth tonight. I know there's been a lot of fun play in the Twitter world tonight, so I know a lot of people out there watching, looking forward to what we're going to be chatting about tonight. So really looking forward to the discussion.
I am too. I love this.
All right. Well, Brad, you want to get us rolling?
Yeah, you know what? What we'll do first is, we'll do This Week in Twitter. And this is different than the shout-out. Just if there's something interesting going on in Twitter, upcoming. I know we kind of talked about this a little bit. So, Ginger, why don't you share with us something, for This Week in Twitter? What's going on with you?
Right now, I live on Twitter a little bit, but right now in my world, Twitter is all about the K-12 online conference. That's a conference that's convened by Wes Fryer in Oklahoma and Peggy George and Karen Fassenpour in Arizona and Susan Van Gelder in Montreal, Canada, Jose Rodriguez in California, and yours truly. And we've been doing this, we've been working on the K-12 online conference in one form or another. We rotate out. 2006, and what it is for 2 weeks we show and display presentations that really brilliant people and educators across the world have created, sent in as kind of a volunteer service, and it's amazing learning. This year is it's called Transforming Learning, and we've got all different strands, and I'm going to get this wrong, so this week we're looking at building learning and leading learning, and I'm the convener for the building learning strand, as you might think,
right.
A little bit with the PBL and Maker Ed flavor.
That's right.
And so you can follow that on hashtag K12Online13, or just find it K12OnlineConference.org, and really great presentations coming out every day. One more thing is that Gary Steger and Sylvia Martinez's keynote for my strand came out today, all about their Invent to Learn book. 33 minutes of awesome learning. So.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, you do. It's free, and they're all archived back from 2006. How can you not do that?
Yep,
that's amazing.
Absolutely.
So who started that whole thing? Was that Wes that really started doing that, or was it a bunch of you guys that just got together and
I'm going to refer to some old school folks. Wes has been in it several years, but we've had people like Darren Kurapatwa, and I think Dean Sharifsky was even in on this at one time or another. Lots of people over the years have been involved. Wes has been the convener, I think. Oh, Wes, I apologize if I'm going to say this wrong. Since maybe 2008. Maybe is like the lead, and the whole team. It's just we meet all year long, plan this out, and I don't know how, but we get some of the biggest and brightest minds in education every year to volunteer to do this. Our keynote this year was a friend of yours and mine, Shannon.
Love Shannon Miller.
Yeah. So she talked a lot about how she transforms learning in her library with her students, and it's just powerful stuff that's just free for the taking. 20 minutes or so on the sessions, totally listenable, and it's not just talking head. It's a lot of examples and a lot of fun stuff from literally across the globe. Some of our presentations used to be translated into different languages, yeah, that's not easy to do. And as we all continue to get more busy, I'm going to call it streamline. We streamline the process. And
Nice.
but they're available on iTunes U as well, and you should definitely check out the K-12 Online Conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we got a chance to chat with you and Wes as well when we were out at Podstock, and that's where he talked to us about this. So, Drew, when is ours coming out? I believe
ours is supposed to be scheduled for Wednesday morning.
Yeah, I think it's this week.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about it. You know, we do our game-changing apps, 20 minutes. It's like the boom, punch you in the face version kind of, where we just throw it all at you, you know, and just, you know, our normal presentation, I think we did our podcast last week, was an hour and 20 minutes on the same type of thing. So this, we crammed it down to 20 minutes, and it's a lot of info for 20 minutes, but hopefully people can take a lot out of it.
Well, the good news is pause. Play,
yeah.
Come back. I mean, these
That's
are
right.
online forever now, or until, you know, the internet dies.
And you know, Ginger, one of the funny things is Drew and I did the K-12 one together. We're sitting next to each other, so it's interesting. When him and I are actually sitting next to each other, it's even more interesting. So they'll get a little different perspective when they check that out Wednesday, I believe.
I'm going to tell you truthfully, it goes live Wednesday, but I got a backdoor key. I'm going to go check it out tonight because I can't wait to hear it. I know how you guys are going to have to talk on each other and finish each other's sentences. That's going to be
yeah, Ginger, you've seen us live before, so you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's real, you know, and that's what we like, is that these sessions are made by real educators in the world, and so people are really doing it. It's funny. I was listening to Gary and Sylvia's, I think for the 4th time today, and it was so funny how they're just, you know, just interjecting a little piece here or there on each other, on top of each other's. And I think to have those partnerships, and there are a lot of people who do it all by themselves, and it's a great job. I actually, in 2010, one of my students was the very first student strand. It was called Student Voices, and he was the keynote for that. And so he and I worked and built a presentation for that. So that's how I got involved with K-12 Online, and then they hooked me in to be a convener.
Of course.
Several years later, here I am. I love it.
It is unbelievable. 2 weeks long of nothing but free PD and just inspiring work from, like you said, some of the best educators not only in the United States but just around the world.
Oh, and I love that Connected Educator Month is this month too.
Oh, I know. It just fits in perfectly, doesn't it?
We've been doing it in October, November for a long time, so I'm so glad.
It is. It has been fun. That's for sure. Well,
Absolutely.
Brad, you want to roll and talk about Twitter this week?
Yeah. Well, you know, obviously, like we say every week, there's so many different things we can talk about. So many stories that happen, and just you know what? Some of the cool stuff is I've connected with a couple people in the UK this week, and then Tom Driscoll in Rhode Island, Tom Alera in Boston, and Joel Foster in Iowa. A lot of people doing some cool stuff, and also chatting about doing some collaboration and doing some work together and trying to get more people involved, get more people, more educators on the edge, you know, pushing the envelope and stuff. Because, you know, Ginger, we've chatted about this. You know, a lot of our audience and people that know us are the early adopters, the ones that push the technology. But we're talking with these people to try to get that message out to a lot more of the masses. And so if we can get more of the masses and just get them to try something, you know, take a chance, you know, ready to accept it and try, you know, then we'll continue to push this movement to transform the education system. So a lot of good stuff going on out there. Just more context with a lot of people. So that's been great stuff this week. What about you, Drew?
Man, like you said, there's so much going on. You know, with the K-12 online conference, which I've been keeping close track of. We had our good friend Todd. His presentation, I believe, was last week. You know, it's just so fun to check out the short, boom, like I said, punch you in the face presentations where you get so much information. It's almost overwhelming. But like you said, Ginger, you can just hit pause. I mean, they're free. You can go back and watch them as many times as you want, which is amazing. I got contacted tonight actually by a teacher that shared it is an augmented reality, but she did something in art with Vine, and it is crazy. It's literally this crazy video where it looks like this kid was just doing it for fun. It's a pop can. All of a sudden, it's a drawing. All of a sudden, he reaches down. He has a pop can in his hand. And all of a sudden, boom, it's in the drawing again, and I have no idea how they did it.
Oh, that's cool.
She tweeted it at Todd, and I absolutely blew my mind. It was so cool how she did it. So I'm interested to kind of figure out kind of what it was and how they did it.
Where can we find that link? Because, I'm impatient.
They tweeted it at me. Mrs. K. Matson is the Twitter handle. It's Kristen Matson.
Oh, yeah.
Matson.
Yeah,
so it was pretty cool. I'll tweet out the link here in just a minute. But, man, it's literally a 5-second video, and I was just like, whoa. Like, what was that? It took you a minute to realize what happened, It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to tweet it out right now.
Yeah, Kristen Matson, I believe she's going to be at ICE this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the one that we were chatting with a couple of days ago, saying that she's going to be there for our session when we present at ICE in February. So awesome. Well, hey, that's
ICE someday.
Someday. Oh yeah. Well, we'll talk about EdTech conferences here in just a little bit, because I know we have some cool stuff where we get to get together again and do some things. So, but Ginger, let's get on to why you're here with us tonight. So, you know what? This is your chance where you kind of get to share some pretty cool stuff, kind of what you're all about, what you like doing, what you're passionate about. We want to hear that, and then we kind of want to talk about what are some of the buzzwords and things that are going on, and what's the validity behind them? Is there really some truth behind it? Is there some power? Is it more flash in the pan? Stuff like that. So why don't you share with our audience? Because obviously a lot of people are going to know you, but if we have some new people listening this time, you're reaching a newer audience. Why don't you tell them a little bit about who you are, and then what you kind of do, and let's just start from there.
Absolutely, that's more the reality of the situation. Currently, I'm an educational consultant with ESDAC, which is it's a regional service center. Thanks. It's a regional service center in central Kansas. We're a not-for-profit organization, but as the boss is happy to say, we're also not in favor of a loss. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of an entrepreneurial educational service center, and so we not only serve our local school districts here in central Kansas, but we also reach out across the nation and across the oceans as well. Some of the folks you might be familiar with who get to work with on a regular basis, Kevin Honeycutt.
I know him.
You might know him. There's also Tammy Wooster is actually an ESDAC girl, and just lots of amazing people who are there both locally and otherwise. Anyway, so
a lot of amazing people, Ginger. That is one family. I'm telling you, that's a family you want to be a part of. So for sure.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. How I got to be involved with them is originally my training's in social sciences. So I was that social studies teacher who said, read this part of your text, answer your questions. Here's a video, and I'll give you an essay test because I'm rigorous. And and we do simulations maybe once or twice a year because that's fun. Mm-hmm. And so and I started noticing in my classroom that there were kids who were faking it like I used to. And so I got into gifted ed, and I started thinking, there's a different way to do things for a lot of different kids. And eventually they tapped me on the shoulder and said, Ginger, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? And why don't we start this? They had a public charter school that our district was starting, and it was a project-based learning and one-to-one laptops, and said, Ginger, you can do that. And I was like, I'd love to work there, but I'm not sure I'd like to be the director. And they're like, let's talk about this. So 2 days of training on PBL with the Buck Institute, and bam, I was out and I built the school, with the kids and the parents and me, and we over 5 years, and Kevin Honeycutt would come in and sprinkle his magic and crazy inspiration, and I would just soak that up and think, now how can I really make this work in the real world? and we started what we call the life practice model, because I would think that in schools we should be practicing real life.
Yes.
More than what we are, and so, bathroom passes, don't exist in my school, that sort of thing. And so we started building this, and when I stepped away from there 5 years later and hired, 7 staff members, and we grew, we had started with 60, and we doubled, and again, and check my math skills on that, but whatever. It grew.
You're a social studies teacher.
Yeah, that's right. Never mind, I was also teaching math because I had all the kids. We combined age levels, which were grades 5 through 8.
Yep.
because I believe that just because a kid is born on a certain date doesn't mean that they only have this amount that they should be able to learn. If you learn more than that, then, oh my God, you're brilliant. And if you learn less than that, my God, you're stupid. And so I mixed ages regularly, right. Across a couple. And we were just family, we really were. And so I stepped away from there, and Kevin says, Ginger, you gotta start building those projects that you were doing, because once you're in it, anybody who does project-based learning understands it's hard to document what you're doing as you're doing it, especially if you're really pushing that edge, which is we were doing more than just PBL. We were changing everything about what education could possibly mean. So I started building lesson plans. What we came up with is what we call the life practice recipe cards. And I have some around here, but
no? Okay.
If you want to see them, it's lifepracticepbl.org. But what it is it's a way for teachers who, like I was, when I first started with project-based learning, I would go online and I would see these beautiful projects, and I think, holy moly, how am I supposed to do those? And how am I supposed to do those and teach what I have to? And so what Kevin and I have created is the really super fun thing. Guess Kevin. He's like, this is really cool. And I said, okay, and here's how real teachers can do that really cool stuff and still do what they're supposed to. And so it's a bridge. I'm not saying it's the most perfect PBL. In fact, some people in PBL world look at the stuff that we've done and think, whatever, and they roll their eyes because it smells too much like school, Just like you said at the beginning of the class, or at the beginning, I'm sorry, this is a class here, at the beginning of our conversation, the people who are watching the show have already drank the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
And people who are already in PBL chat and who are getting support have already drank the Kool-Aid. The people who we really need to get to are the ones who can't even find the Kool-Aid or think that the Kool-Aid's poison. And we gotta show them a way, bridge over to what possibilities are.
Right.
And that's what we've built. I think we've done, I think I've done a dadgum good job of that.
Now, do you find
it
intimidated by it? Things?
Do
you think teachers sometimes they see the things you guys are creating and get intimidated by it?
Yeah, I think so. But I think they do with all project-based learning if they're not used to that. I mean, a lot of teachers say, when I come into their schools, a huge number of teachers, every single workshop, start out the day with like, oh, I already do projects. And I'm not a jerk. I'm not coming in. I'm not going to tell them where they're wrong. I'm going to tell them what's amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is what you're doing great. And then we experience some project-based learning, because if they're going to learn about it, they have to do it. And so when they get finished with it, they say, holy cow, this isn't anything that I do.
Right.
And then I walk them into how to do these things and why. And we look at the Common Core, if they're a Common Core state, which most are. And we look at the hardcore curriculum standards that they must do and see how that's put in 45-minute practice. And they're just amazed. And
man, that sounds amazing. It really does. Because I know it is a struggle getting everything into your day, the things that you want to do and then the things that you have to do, and with testing and how many assessments there are and things like this, it is hard to fit it all in. And if you could find that way for these kids to really just dive into their learning, they will amaze you.
I mean, it's got to be hands-on, minds-on. I mean, obviously that's not my quote, but if they're not doing something, then what are they doing? Because they're doing something. I mean, especially little ones, I got to tell you, middle school through high school, they're doing something, and elementary's probably doing something else. But I had a conversation with some colleagues just the other day, and I was asking, why is it that we're not teaching science at our younger grades? And I love this lady, so I'm not picking on her. It was a good conversation. She says, well, we are. They read about blah-de-blah, and I'm like, that's not science. Reading about science, that's not science. And so, I don't know. I
totally agree with you. I totally agree, and that's one of the things that, that's why we love AR so much, because it is, you're not just reading about something. It's like an experience. It's an interaction with and learning in a whole nother way, you know, a magical experience that people didn't think was really possible, you know, and that's why we love it so much. And the same thing goes for PBL, you know, I mean, it's a powerful way to learn.
Yeah. And my girl, Kelly McCall is watching, so I'm giving her a shout out.
Hi, Kelly.
She teaches the littles.
Yeah,
and
I'm very familiar with Kelly. She gets shout outs.
You know, I talk a lot about how it's about exploring with the little ones. You know, that's how they learn to begin with. And somewhere we had to get them to stop being learners and being more students. I don't want students who just do what you want them to, when you want them to, and how you want them to. That's a student. I want a learner.
Right. You know, one thing, for those of you just joining us, we're talking with Ginger Lewman, talking about some PBL right now, and just starting to, also, one thing you mentioned was, you know, we talked about these are the early adopters who our audience is, and, you know, we want to try to reach the masses and more people. Well, one thing that we can talk about is, you know, the +1. You know, everybody watching is open to technology, is open to change, is open to transformation, is open to taking that risk and challenging the system. What we need to do is we need those people to go back into their buildings and just try to make one small change with a colleague. You know, try to bring one person on board. Drew has done a wonderful job of that with one of our fellow teachers, Ann Keenan. Her and Drew do a lot of work together. Drew has the technology, she doesn't, but over the last 2 school years, they've been able to do more collaboration, and she's an amazing teacher. The cool thing is now is because of that collaboration that they have, she's more comfortable now opening up and trying these things out, and it's really a wonderful thing because I'll tell you, she's an absolutely phenomenal, outstanding teacher. And there are so many people out there. Educators are incredible. So the thing is we want to get those teachers, those educators, and have them open up their mind to be willing to try. And yes, there's going to be failure, but we always talk about we want our kids to be okay with failure. You know what? They are, because that's what we expect of them. Yep. We have more of a hang up with failure than they do. And you know what? We have to try to just say, all right, you know what? Let's try this. Go ahead and work on it. If you fail, you learn. That's okay. So let's talk about, let's just encourage everybody to do the +1 system and just try to bring something back to a fellow colleague and try to reach out. And of course, share through your PLNs and everything else. And hopefully tonight, after all this is said and done and all this wonderful discussion, everybody can take something back tonight and try it out, whatever that may be.
Definitely. And also, when you go back tonight, check out audible.com, because that's what this show is sponsored by tonight. So, audiobooks, they've got every audiobook that you can even imagine on audible.com. So you can make an account there, audible.com/edreach, and check out everything they got going on over at audible.com. And I mean, they got people like Dan Pink, who Dan Pink blows my mind. The things that he does are so awesome. And I actually got to meet him for like a split second when I was in DC a couple months ago. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, definitely go over to audible.com and check out all the audiobooks that they have over there. So, but
awesome.
Man, I'll tell you what, I love this stuff. This PBL and everything, it's exciting.
So Ginger, what are some of the battles you have? What are some of the, like, you know, what's some of the resistance or battles, or, you know, you go in, you know, like we said, we know the early adopters. Those are people we love speaking with, because, you know, they're going to go back, they're going to try something. If it fails, that's okay. Say, that was great. It was a great experience. That's by, you know, our friend Evan Shear. He in Japan, he talked about this last week. It's like, he said, Drew, if you and I work together, I would say, hey, here's this great idea. Drew would be like, yeah, right on, let's go try it. No resistance. If it worked, awesome. If it didn't, oh, well, that's okay.
You'll learn from it.
Yeah, Ginger, what are some of the resistance things that you are faced with when you go talk to people, or you see when we're looking at transformation of education? We're really trying to create that wave. What are some of the things that you encounter, you run into?
I think what I find a lot as a consultant now, when I walk into buildings, people already know in the building, just like we as students in our classrooms know that kid over there and my friend over here. We know who the smart ones are and who aren't the quick ones as students. And so then as I come into a workshop, into a school or a conference, then the people already there know who the early adopters are and who aren't. And I think a huge mistake that some consultants might do accidentally and maybe even in district curriculum teaching and the professional learning that happens on in districts, is that they blame those who aren't early adopters as being Luddites or as being reluctant. And I don't know where I saw this, but I'm totally telling you it's not mine, but I'm stealing it. And it's amazing. I like to talk in stories. That's my old social studies side.
Great.
Awesome.
Great.
We love stories.
This isn't really a story, it's more of an analogy.
Gee, thanks, Ginger. I thought I was getting a story, now I'm getting an analogy. You know what? My brain, it can't flip-flop quite like that, so I don't know. Am I getting a story? Should I grab a pillow? Or is this an analogy? I'm like, all right, analytical, kind of flip on. Okay, you're messing with me, all right? I know, we talked about this beforehand. I just can't go ahead.
I'm gonna,
Oh
you
my
know.
gosh.
So there are people, when you throw out a new idea to a group of people, inevitably, that there's a number of people, they're usually a smaller number, but there are a few who will, this surrounds water, by the way. They run off the edge of the dock and dive into the lake or the ocean or whatever, and they just are happy to jump in without really looking what's ahead, and they trust in their own skills to swim and to navigate that sort of thing. They've jumped before, they've had success, and survived it, and so they feel good. Then there's another set of inside that same group of people who just kind of hang around on the edge, and they wade around and they kick through the sand and kind of check stuff out, and sometimes they might wade a little bit deeper, and sometimes it may only be ankle deep. And then there's a third set of people who are content to sit back out of the water, under the tree, watching the other two. And what they're watching is they're watching the person who jumps off the edge of the dock come back up with moss and stuff in their teeth, and they jumped in, and it was the wrong depth and things, and they're hurt, right? And they think, I learned from that. And they're watching the people who are kicking in the little shallow areas stub their toes on the rocks or cut themselves on glass and say, now I see that. I do not fault. And by the way, I lay those three groups out. And I say, don't point to each other. Mm-hmm. Which one of those are you? And who are you sitting with at your table? And there's nothing wrong with being the person who sits back. In fact, that's kind of a smart thing to do, because now you can navigate without having any real troubles. The trouble is if you just stay under that tree, right?
Yep.
A lot of consultants come in and want people at the very minimum to be waiting immediately. You said it yourself, Brad, when you were talking about Drew and giving him love. Man, this woman that he's been working with 2 years, how impatient will we get as school leaders with somebody who takes 2 years to come along? How many years have we been developing our current habits? I used to chew my fingernails till I was 21 years old. I'm over 40 right now, and I still have to not bite my nails.
Oh,
it is a hard habit.
I bite mine so bad. Oh my gosh, I bite mine all day, every day. I'm constantly. I mean, Brad just looks at me like, seriously? I mean, I am constantly biting at my fingernails. I mean, I'm watching football. It's nerve-wracking. I just bite my fingernails.
Ginger, he's called me Kramer because, like, when I walk into his room, he's biting his nails, and if I don't, like, announce that I'm there, like, knock, I mean, he jumps out of his seat. So he calls me Kramer because I just bust in the door. So
he does. He busts
like
in the door just like Kramer. It's out of control sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. And it's like 8:30 in the morning. He just busts into my classroom, and I can't see him come in. So just busts in like Kramer. Scares me half to death.
Ginger, Ginger, I got a little passion, little energy, so when I go see Drew in the morning, I'm like, hey, man, it's going to be a great day. Let's rock with the iPads. What's going on? And, like, he jumps out of his seat. He's like, geez, don't you knock? I'm like, hey, I'm just coming in saying hi,
He does it on purpose. I'm telling you.
Sometimes a little bit.
I've had him bust into a parent-teacher conference before just like that. Boom.
Yes,
Next thing I know, Brad's taking over my parent-teacher conference because he knows the person. We need to talk about the kid. We're talking about neighborhood news. We're talking about sports teams. We're talking about who knows what because Brad busts in like Kramer.
But the funny thing is, Ginger, so I sat down right next to the parent. We started talking. Next thing is we went over on the conference, and another parent bust in like Kramer. He's like, hey, where's my conference? I'm like, see you, Drew. I got to go.
Yeah, it was funny. It was quite the day.
Now, how long you guys been married here? You're like my grandma and my grandpa there.
Oh, I know.
About a year, I guess.
Yeah, too long.
I guess, but it's all good. For those of you joining us, we're talking with Ginger Lewman, with my co-host Drew Manock. We're talking about all awesome things education. We're glad to have you joining us tonight. This is one of the most lively, natural interviews we've had. It is so much fun. Thank you, Ginger. So let's talk about what are some of the catchphrases in education right now, or things. I know we kind of talked about this a little bit off air. What's one you want to grapple with, if I may, Ginger?
I love playing that bingo. That bingo buzz. I don't think I've ever played it, but I like looking at it and go, I'm feeling all superior. But really, isn't that what those are about, is feeling smarter than other people? Yeah. But whatever. It's one step away from bullying when we make those bingo lists. But here we go. Let me go ahead and do that. I'm just going to jump into one that you had mentioned already.
Come on.
It's a slight pet peeve of mine here when people talk about failure, that we should be helping kids to fail, that failure, teach them that failure is good. I've got a problem with that. And I think I may be the only person in the world, but here's the thing. I think that if we only talk about failure, we're missing a large part of the message. It has to be fail and recovery. Failure, recovery. It's a cycle. It has to be a cycle, because if we only say failure, listen, I'd like to assume that people would understand that recovery comes with it, but I've also lived in this world a little bit. I've been an educator now for about 19 years, and I'm not going to assume anything that people make connections on their own. So
no, you're right. You're right.
Failure and recovery have to go together. So there you go. Little buzzword.
Go ahead. I want to kind of touch on this. I like that you said, you know what, you're right. One thing we don't do, like, it's almost like, this analogy. Ginger, you've been doing something. The pendulum swings. And you know what? Every time the pendulum...
call me old.
Yeah, no. Ginger, I'm older. I think I'm older than you are. I believe so. We had this discussion. I'm pretty sure we did. Hey, but look, you know what? I still look all right. I mean, you know what?
Great.
I say, all right, I gotta go. No, no, thanks.
Oh, you're right. What is going on here?
I don't know. What I was saying about the pendulum swing is, like, you know what? Like, it used to be, gosh, we've had, our school system is set up in the old factory environment and the prison environment. A lot of the architects created the prisons, 50, 60 years ago. And the way we're set up is very industrial and stuff like that. And the pendulum's starting to swing, to where, like, okay, now we're looking at our environment and stuff, and our learning environment and stuff. And we're talking success is good, but like success in in the 80s and 90s, success, go to the top of the class, all that. And it's like, wait, well, what about those ones that fail or that struggle or whatever? So now we're talking about the kids that fail and struggle, which is great. But I see what you're saying now is, like, a lot more emphasis is put on failure versus the process of learning that goes with it. It's not like there's a giant sign that says failure. No, that's a small 10 font type, and then it's recovery, and then it's learning, and then it's adjustments, and so on. So, I understand what you're saying. So you're probably not the only person. There's probably like 4 of us, maybe. I'm just kidding.
That's funny.
There's a quote, and I'm trying to find it real quick, but I think it's by Vince Lombardi, and it's like, when you lose, don't lose the lesson. It's something about that, and it's like, and that's the whole failure thing. It's okay if you fail, as long as you lose from it and learn from it and grow, so it doesn't happen again.
That's right.
That's where you grow and you learn and things like that from failure. Just failing isn't okay. That's not okay at all. But if you fail, that's the way you learn, right?
I literally have been partners with teachers before in other schools, not in schools. If anybody's watching from my old schools, not my old schools where I worked, but I was partnering with other schools. And the teachers said, I think it's really important for students to have choice. And you know what? They can choose to fail, too.
Really?
They would, I got a problem with that. And they would hear nowadays that failure statement and say, yep, we're doing good for the kids, teaching them a life lesson. And it breaks my heart. And we can and we should do better. We can.
Hey, look, I'm going to be the first to admit, I don't like failing. I'll tell you, I absolutely do not like failing. And you know what? When Drew, you remember this, when we were on Todd's show on Edu All-Stars, shout out Todd, I'm going to give you a little behind-the-scenes secret here. When we had to talk about what's your biggest failure, I was like, Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. I'll talk about some struggles I have, but I'm sure I've failed, but you know what? I certainly don't want those to be like the things I really discuss. I want to talk about the inspiration and the movement and everything else. So I'm with you there.
It's such a big deal, though. I've been in teams who've had cultural issues and mistrust, and that when somebody stands and makes themselves vulnerable and admits where they're weak and asks for help in a team where there is mistrust.
Yeah.
One person who makes themselves vulnerable, that is that crossroads.
Yep.
Where the team can say, you know what, we're going to do something better, and we're going to choose to help that person. You know, everybody works on strengths. Maximize our strengths and minimize our weaknesses, right? Or they can choose to continue down that evil path and attack that person and make them, and so it takes that one person to have that real vulnerable courage to lay it out there.
And Ginger, that is so important. And you know what? There's a lot of connected educators and teachers and educators all over the world doing amazing things. And you know what? The more and more Drew and I connect with a lot of these people, realizing that our numbers are small in our own buildings. You know what? And that's one of the great things about social media is because, you know what? Like Drew and I, we're very lucky. We're right down the hall from each other. We get to have those collaborations. We get to have those conversations about things that we did, what went right, what went wrong, whatever, what's the next move, here we go. But a lot of people are isolated. And I'm gonna steal this from George Kuros and from Todd, who just did this in his speeches today. If you choose to be, if you're not connected in the near future or even right now, you're choosing isolation by choice because technology is now so readily available. Most everybody has the opportunity to connect now. So if you choose isolation, it is going to be a choice now, and that's now on you. You can't blame. I don't have the technology in my building. Most people have at least something they can use. So this whole connected educator, this whole connected world that's helping us find like-minded people and continue to take this movement forward. Is really an amazing thing.
Now I'm going to push it one step further.
All right.
Come on.
Like to do?
Do it.
Push it.
I would like to challenge those of us who are connected to not only show our shiny sides, because that's what we do. We show, look at this amazing thing, and look what I've done well.
Yep.
Are we showing and letting ourselves be vulnerable in front of each other, therefore strengthening us? Or is it not really safe to do so? And if it's not safe to show weaknesses in front of other connected educators, are we truly connected? I say
not connected the way that we should be, not the way that'll help us grow, because that, like we talked about earlier, if we can reach out and show that weakness, I mean, I know that almost all the connected educators that we've been lucky enough to connect with, if I talk about something I'm having an issue with or I'm not quite getting it, I know that they'll be there to help me learn that and to give me resources and to get through that. They're not going to let me fail. And I think it's got to be that way. And because I feel comfortable in that situation. I feel comfortable with the people that we've connected with and let them know my weaknesses, so then I can get better. And hopefully we're building that kind of environment in our classroom as well.
Absolutely. And that just takes us, you can be connected in so many different ways. It's not just through Twitter. It's not just through social media. I mean, it's through Google and Google Documents. It's through collaboration being connected. It's through mystery Skypes. It's through GHOs. It's because, there's a handful of us that have a GHO document that we fill out from time to time about how we're doing and what's going on. And, it's a document that there's a handful of us go on. And the cool thing is, Ginger, is we have success and failures all in there. We have struggles. We have things that we love to chat about. And the cool thing is it is a safe environment. And the cool thing is that, if I'm down or I'm struggling with something, I know they're there to help pick me up, and we're there for them as well. Now what we need to do is we need to make that bigger. We're all in the same movement to transform the system. You know what? We are on our way. We now have the medium and the platform to do this. We have people like you. There's people like Kevin. There's people in our networks. There's people in our tribes. There are people who are getting in front of the masses and talking to the masses and pulling them on. It's just a matter of us continuing and not giving up, because you know what? We've all hit the wall, Ginger. I know you have. I'm assuming. You have not told me specifically. But I know Drew has. I know I have. I know people in our network have hit the wall. But if you're passionate, you can't give up, because you know what? There are hard days. There are tough days. But you know what? The end of the day, I tweeted this out there today. I said, thank you to all teachers. You made a difference in a kid's life today. You may not know it for 10 years, but you did. So don't give up. You matter. Make a difference. You name it. You just have to be true to yourself and know, stay the course. You became an educator for a reason. And that's my soapbox right there.
I love that.
You sure?
You're showing that, you know, that old school stereotypical trust exercise where you fall back into somebody. Right. That if somebody in your community has shown vulnerability, which we don't like to do anyway, that to be there and to not judge and not just say, oh, it'll be better next time, and think, man, that person doesn't know what she's doing, stop talking to her. You know, as we may want to. I have a boss who I've talked to her a lot about she thinks sometimes we live in a competitive culture in education. And I talked with her and I said, I think we don't live in competitive, I think we live in comparative. And social media only enhances that. We need to compare our to your, and am I doing enough or better or bigger, and if we're only showing shiny, it's fake.
Man, I haven't thought about it that way. I like that analogy. It's not competitive, it's comparative. That's true too, because they're pretty similar, but they're not the same. You know, I mean, that's good. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah, I like that, because you know what? I mean, here's one of the things that Drew and I talk about all the time is, especially when we're in person, we're out in front of people, is we talk about getting kids. I don't want to see ready for the world. We want to help them be learners as well. But what's realistic? You know what? Get away from the movement of, you know, in what year, you know, was Mount Rushmore completed? You know, everybody's got one of these. You know, there's a lot of great keynoters that do things like that. We all have that kind of information readily available. We're not looking and trying to say, oh, how smart are you by how much can you pack in and regurgitate? No, I want to see that creative thinker. I want to see how you react when you're smacked with the problem. You know what? Where do you start initially by yourself? Then where do you go in your network? Because you know what? When I have a problem, first thing I do is I think about it, and then I start talking to people who I know that may be able to help me. I'll tell you, Drew has so many behind-the-scene things, Ginger, that you know what? If it's something about getting a live event going or it's something else, I go chat with Drew. That's one of his major strengths. If it's something else, I go talk with other people. But that's real life. You know, that's what people do. You know what? I know we have cubicles and stuff, but even inside of cubicles in a business environment, you still stand up, you talk to your neighbor, you say, look, you know, I've got this report I got to do for the boss in 2 days. He wants me to reduce 10% of a $3 billion budget. What am I supposed to do? Well, you don't just sit there by yourself and get out your smartphone and go, la, 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 where's the answer on Google? It's not. Right. We work together. So collaboration and knowing how to approach difficult problems truly is what I look for in a thinker.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things that I know Brad and I, we both do that in our classroom. We do a lot of group things and things like that because it's so important to collaborate. It's so important to be able to work with people and learn different ways to solve the same problem. And I mean, it's so important, especially with our kids, you know, that we deal with on a daily basis. It's just one of the main things that we really try and get across in our classrooms. I know that.
Hey, Ginger, I got a question for you. This is if you had a magic wand. Let me just ask you this. If you had, hey, you know what?
Harry Potter.
Listen, no.
Hermione. Yes.
Ginger, I'm giving you. You're also getting like a little tiara, whatever you want, whatever of choice you get. It can be hood, cloak, whatever. I'm not just giving you the wand. If you had a magic wand, what would be different in our education system today?
Holy moly. I wanted to ask you guys that question because that's one of my favorite questions to ask people. I mean, I oftentimes have a lot of opinions of if I had a magic wand, I would.
Hey, I'll answer it too, but I want to hear from you. Well, yeah, we'll all take a turn on that. We'll do a round table discussion. Tag, you're it. You go first.
How
about that?
With a magic wand.
It's the joys of being the guest. Is just one thing.
You know what? Okay, Drew's. Hey, he's the enforcer. You know what? Hey,
one thing. What's one thing? And that's what makes it hard, because we could all change lots of things. But what's one thing?
That's true.
I'm gonna. There's a couple of things, but it's gonna tick people off.
Hey,
so
that's up to you, girl.
I want.
You're a wand. You have a wand. They can't be mad at you. You're like Harry Potter. It's awesome.
Yeah, they can be mad at me. One of the first things I would do, because it's funny, because what I believe in, both sides get angry with me. I'd get rid of tenure, and I would also, I would change university requirements lists. And I know that's.
What do you mean by that?
Here in Kansas, we have the Regents universities, which they have a list of certain curriculum that you have to take. Oh, I want to change my answer. I want
to. It just hit her.
Okay. All right. So this is what I want to do. I want to. This will also make people mad too, but I truly think
I'm hearing a common thing. For those of you who are just joining us, this is
Ginger's about to make you mad.
Exactly. No, this is great. Whether you're listening to this later on a podcast, we're glad you're with us on the car ride to work. We've been getting a lot of those tweets. I love it. So here we go. Ginger's about to drop some knowledge on us. I love it.
And make you mad in the process.
Well, and I like to wrestle with ideas. So if you get mad, please calm down, and then let's talk about it, because you're probably right. But I need to hear that you hear me too. What I would do, first of all, is I would get rid of all our English classes. Because what is social science other than reading and writing? Why don't we teach English in context? But then what goes along with that is I think we should also get rid of our math classes. Because I know, I can count. I told you I failed math. The second thing I would do is I would get rid of our math classes. Because math is how science works. And unless we're studying pure mathematics, which a person can do, but that would be like an elective, that you would then teach all your math in context through science properties. But if I'm going that far, I would then also really just get rid of all our core classes and only have electives. Because those are the classes that kids really like. They choose to be there. Most of them are performance-based, and they're also very much tied to what's happening outside of a schoolish environment. And so therefore, what I would do is I would get rid of all core classes except for electives.
All right.
Let's wrestle that idea out if anybody's interested.
Not that we were counting, but that was a little more than one. But that's, it's all good, because you know what that just did, Ginger? It just gave us a lot of talking points. And the thing is you know what? If they're at the water cooler tomorrow talking about it, that's great. If they're talking about it at a staff meeting tomorrow or Wednesday, that's awesome. So thanks for that information. It will go to good use, believe me. So.
I just got myself fired.
It's okay.
Mike, don't listen to anything she says. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Please, Dr. Cook.
Hey, Mike, Drew and I love you. Let me just say that. We love Aztec.
Oh, my gosh.
Drew, where's your one? Let's hear your one.
I feel like this is just very... People are hypocritical about this, because everyone says, you need to differentiate your instruction to meet the needs of all the different types of learners in your classroom, right? That's what everyone wants each teacher to do. But they expect every teacher to be the same. Every teacher needs to be on the same lesson on this day. They need to teach spelling this way because we don't want to upset parents. You need to do it this way. You need to do it this way across the board, grade level wide. And that's not right, because I'm not the same as the other person down the hallway. Okay, you want me to differentiate the instruction for the kids in my classroom? Well, then let me be me. Let me teach them the way that I want to teach them, the way that I think that best fits my kids, you know? And making it a uniform thing is very hypocritical to everyone who wants us to differentiate our instruction to meet the needs, because then just let the teachers teach. You know, trust us that we're going to teach the content. Just because we're not doing it the exact same way doesn't mean that anybody's doing it wrong. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody could be doing it right. They're just doing it their way, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I call that many multiple right answers.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Thank you for joining us. You
so
just heard.
No one got mad at me for that.
You just heard Drew give the one thing that he would change if he had a magic wand to go along with his tutu that he wears in the morning.
Oh, nice, nice. Seriously?
Sorry, no. I couldn't think of anything clever. You know, actually, Drew's got a lot of cool stuff in his room. He actually has a really cool wand in his room.
I have 2 Harry Potter wands in my room.
He actually does, and it's pretty funny because,
my kids love it.
When Brenna, you know, you saw Brenna come in before the show, right? She goes down the hall. She'll go hang out with Drew, and Drew plays with their magic wand. The magic wand for Brenna freezes her. She can't move. It's actually kind of cool. So I give them grief, but actually more props than that. But thank you for joining us on the Two Guys Show with Ginger Lewman, Drew Manock. I am Brad Wade. Everybody's just giving us one thing they would change that a magic wand. Mine would be what assessment looks like. And see, the nice thing is about that is because, and here is my caveat with assessment. I'm saying it in the sense that the way we test students to gain information needs to change. We talked about this. I have a brilliant girl in my class. She's absolutely brilliant. Thing is I don't know if she's the highest tester in my class, but I'll tell you this, she is by far the most worldly, the smartest, and knows how to make connections like no 8-year-old does. And it's absolutely wonderful. I was talking to her with our administration the other day just because I love what she's able to do. I'll be reading a book in class, and she'll just start making these connections. She understands the world. I give her a problem. She knows how to go after it, and she knows how to know what she knows and knows what she doesn't understand. And she knows where to get information, get answers. She knows who to talk to. And if she doesn't, she even knows where to go for resources. And that's the kind of student, learner, everybody we want. That's somebody I want as an adult next to me. You know, so somebody can recite the encyclopedia. Someone gets a 36 on their ACT. Fine, but I want you next to me. How are you going to be when we're asked to do something? You know what? We're going to be able to work together. We're going to be able to be successful. That's what I want to know. So that's my one thing. So, Ginger, before we run on, because you know what, we could do this for like 3 hours and have an absolute blast.
We could.
But for the sake of the show and the graphics behind my head that I've been told that it looks like I have an arm coming out of my head, that is Lionel Messi behind me. Just so you know, that's one of my fat heads down here. I have Lionel Messi. I have Wayne Rooney. I have a lot of cool stuff down in my basement. So, anyways,
you have a fat head. You have a fat head behind your head?
I have a fat head and a fat head. That is about almost 7 feet tall back there, which is awesome. So shout out to the soccer fans joining us and everything else. So, all right. So Ginger, where I'm going is there anything else in the PBL, in the transformative education, anything that you want to get out that we may not have touched upon before we jump on to conferences and AR and shout outs on Twitter?
No, I don't think so.
Cool.
LifePracticePBL.org. My blog is gingerlumen.org, and there's my partner KevinHoneycutt.org. We're going to be putting together a really great art snacks workshop this spring, and I think we've got something in the makes for this summer too. That's going to be pretty amazing.
Awesome. Well, when we do sign out, we're going to give everybody your contact information again so they know how to get a hold of you and can check out all your awesome resources. I mean, all they have to do is Google your Ginger Lewman everywhere, which is awesome. All right, so Ginger, so here's where we jump onto the EdTech conferences. This is places you've been, places you're going, what are you looking forward to, and just kind of can talk a little bit about that. I know some places you're going, and we're really excited about that, but why don't you kind of mention what you want about where you've been, where you're going.
Well, one of the things I do for my job is travel, so I love that. And coming up soon, I guess, not necessarily in order of appearances, I get to come to McCall again this year.
Woo!
That's us. That's us.
Yeah, got invited in to do some kindergarten through 5th grade STEM work, so I'm excited to be there on the pre-con. I've got, of course, really soon coming up is our National Association for Gifted Children. Now, I know that's not an ed tech conference, but I come and bring the ed tech to that crowd.
That's right.
In Indianapolis. And,
Indianapolis.
Yep. AESA, which is an Association of Educational Service Agencies. That's all. Like all the ESDACs all across the U.S. are coming together in San Antonio in December, and we're not staying downtown. We're going to be out at the edge of town. Chicago, I'll be there in a couple of days, a couple of weeks, I guess, to do some PBL work there with a smaller conference, and I guess I don't really live the ed tech world because all my ed tech is embedded in PBL.
Yeah, so you bring your ed tech with you. I know.
That's right. That's how you roll. You just bring it.
Ginger just brings it. It's been brought.
Is that a word?
No, it's from a movie. It's all you know. Those hipsters, Drew.
That must be an old movie.
Drew, I still don't know what the fox says, and I'm glad. So, no, I still don't know. I still don't know what the fox says. Yeah, Ginger, go back and watch that episode where Drew asked me what the fox says. My face just went. I had no idea what you were talking about.
Did he mean the Fantastic Mr. Fox?
No.
I don't know. Him and Adam were laughing about it, and they're both like, yip, 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 yip.
I could do it, but I'm not going to.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, Drew, EdTech conferences, what's going on with you and I?
We're getting busy, man. Might be going out to Minnesota to check out an amazing school, independent school out there that does this We Create. They have this whole building that they've dedicated to different types of sections that allow kids to create things. They can be fashion designers, they can build apps, they can do all this amazing stuff, and they're interested in AR. So might be able to get to go out there and check that out and share some augmented reality with them. We've got FETC at the end of January. Pretty sure we're going to be going to the Ohio Educational Technology Conference at the end of January. We've got ICE in February, which we're excited about. McCall, of course. We're excited to hear about ISTE. I mean, a lot of things are going to be coming out soon, so we're pumped. We're ready to get rolling.
Are you guys coming to Podstock this summer?
Yes.
Hey, Drew. I mean, really?
What question was that?
I don't want to assume things.
Hey, I'll tell you, that is where we will be there. And I think Drew and I are going to
back to win another iPad.
Yeah, he is. And are we going to fly this time, Drew? Or are we going to drive?
Yeah, I'm not driving 20 hours to Brad again. No offense, Brad. I'm not doing it. I refuse. Absolutely refuse. We're taking detours through, I don't even know where. Brad's taking me down memory lane. I mean, it was, oh my gosh. It took us 3 days to get home.
It was a fun trip. It was a little long, but it was fun. Ginger, we will definitely be there, and we can't wait to join you guys out there. That was an absolute blast. We loved it. We loved that presentation, closing it down on Friday. That was so much fun.
Well, you guys are definitely part of the family now, and that's what we love about Podstock, is it's not just a conference, it's a family. So, well, I don't know what it is. I wish I had all my friends here who remember dates. July 17, 18, 19 or something like that, real close.
I think that is. And there's a theme, if I'm not mistaken. It's already been approved, right? What is our theme this coming year?
I think it's Teachers Are Superheroes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is going to make for an eventful evening.
Something I noticed the other day. How many superheroes wear capes?
I don't know.
I mean,
odd.
Batman, because he's trying to look like a bat, and Superman, because he looks like, I don't know why he's wearing a cape. Who else?
I don't think there's that many.
I'm just saying, superheroes don't all wear capes.
They don't. But I know there's going to be a costume.
Google that. Someone Google that. Someone tell us how many superheroes have capes.
Yeah, really. I expect somebody to be on that.
Where's Craig?
Craig, seriously, we always ask for Craig when somebody needs something to find something. Come on, Todd, Terry, Laura, let's see, John, Kelly, Don's out there. Hey, shout out to Don. I know he was playing Ghost in the Graveyard the other night, and I was enjoying the fact
that's a pod stock friend.
Yeah, it was cool because he's like, love being a big kid. And I'm like, I can totally identify with that. Drew, you know that.
Mm-hmm. I can.
But so, hey, AESA, we did chat with Mike about that. We were trying to come out there in San Antonio. Don't know if that's going to happen, but we would love to join you guys out there if that were something we were able to swing. As Drew mentioned, we have OETC and of course McCall. When you come in, we chatted about this earlier. We need to see about doing something. All of us, getting a big group and having a good time when you guys get into town.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would love, by the way, I'd step back to AESA. I would love to see you guys there being part of the Podstock family, but you're also part of our Best Dash Keynote family.
Yes.
So that's why you're getting invited in there. That's anybody's looking for a good keynote, or maybe even the best keynote.
Ooh, nice.
If you go to best-keynote.com, I'll do my own Audible.
Right on.
This. By the way, I love Audible. Used it all the time in school. One of my favorite tools ever. Way to grab books with kids. But anyway.
Audible.com, everybody.
Yeah,
and
tell us about Best Keynote.
Best-keynote.com. What this is it's a group of people who we could call them super friends if we want to, but it's a group of people who have been selected to, this is not just a speakers bureau, or it's really not a speakers bureau anyway. It's a group of really stellar, amazing people who've come together, and we pick them specifically to go in there, not only for the quality of their presentations, but that they're nice people. And that they'll be there, and if they need to be there early and help set up chairs or take down chairs, that's our type of keynote people, not the people who come in and have to have everything catered to them. And so there's some Kevin Honeycutt's not first brainchild, but this is his brainchild first off, and talked with our folks here at ESDAC, and they said, yeah, this is a really smart thing for us to do. And we got a lot of big names there. And if you look, we're almost equal parts women to men. So if you're looking for a really good keynote speaker, all different varieties. Right. Some are ed tech, and some are cultural, and some are not. So, and you guys are on there, and yes, it's not even totally updated for you guys, but it'll be there soon.
Awesome. Well, we have to just say thank you to you and Kevin for welcoming us into that family and asking us. We are so happy to join you guys. That's really a feather in our cap and a testament to you guys for and all the hard work that you guys do, and we love being a part of that family. So thank you. We really appreciate it, and we're glad to be in that. We're glad to be in that circle with you guys. So thank you.
Oh, it's an honor. Absolute honor.
Well, we appreciate you guys being interested and being good guys.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
I know I am. I don't know about Brad, but
But I'm not sure, man. Brad's mean to you.
Thank you. People finally thank you. I get bullied all the time by him.
Jeez, I give Drew a lot of love, and I try to. You know what? He does some stuff that people will still never know. If they follow the show, they hear that he does some stuff. And a lot of that's going to remain a secret because he does a lot of cool stuff behind the scenes. He's a good partner to work with.
Excellent. That's what matters.
Yep, for sure. So, all right. So let's as you know, we augmented reality. It's our thing, Ginger. You know that. So we always ask our guests what their experience is, if any, with augmented reality, and then just kind of like, what's your vision, or what would you like to see happen? So why don't you just tell us a little bit about your experience with AR, if any, and just kind of share with us.
My first experiences with augmented reality were back in about 2010, maybe. 2000, I don't know. We had a little spot that we held up, and my partner at the time, not Kevin, was well, we were partnering together then, but my partner teacher, Charlie Mahoney, actually started playing with that a lot. He's pretty geeky. I'm just a teacher. I'm not a geek. I'm not gonna lie about that, man. I'm just not. Mm-hmm. And so he said, I've got a really great idea. And I had a great idea too, and it's like chocolate and peanut butter. And what we did is we challenged the kids during. I was teaching world history, and the kids were learning it, and it was project-based learning. And I walked in at the beginning of the year and said, "Guys, I've got this really amazing vision, but I don't know how to make it work." And I asked them to think about the raising and lowering of these white boxes at the Chinese Olympics. Do you remember that?
Yes, yes.
Kids didn't know, so I showed them a video. And I said, now, marry that with a huge, like parking lot-sized risk board of the world. And they were like, okay, they could picture that. And then I said, now imagine if we could fast forward through world history, because my whole point is that kids think that one civilization rises and then falls, and then another one rises and falls. But when really they're working at the same time. I'm getting to augmented reality, I promise.
Right on. Bring it.
So the kids created these Google SketchUp models of different parts of different civilizations, and they had a dance that went with it, and we built a scale model of the map out on the parking lot and learned about paint, and oh gosh, there's a whole bunch that went with it. But what they did, and gosh, I'll pull the link for you sometime, but they had a song, and they did a dance, and they would come out, and the kids would be down, and then they would rise as their civilization would rise. They put their hands out, and this augmented reality Google SketchUp thing from that civilization would be on their hands.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, what? Because I don't know how to do this. My partner, Charlie Mahoney, did it. And he did a Google Sketch, a plug-in that went with, I don't know. And that's the first time I ever really saw it amazing. You guys have really brought it to life. And as you're coming on, there are more and more tools happening. And I play with it, and I love it. But I want to ask you all a question.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I see the pretty. Help me with the practicalities of some of it.
So many people, it's a gimmick still. Go ahead, Brad, because if I don't get my charger, this show is going to be over.
Yeah.
So you talk about it while I get my charger.
You go get your charger. Ginger, and that's, I love that question. And, anybody that follows us has seen us and heard us. We see the flash in the pan. We see the excitement. So, like in our presentation, we say, here's augmented reality, and we show it, and it's the oohs and the ahs, and everybody's like, oh, wow. And then we say, here's what's out there. Then we say, all right, here's what you can do as an educator, not a programmer. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a 3D modeler. What can I do in my classroom? How can I use that technology to impact my students today? So, yeah, there is a lot of pretty, Ginger. You're right. There's some amazing apps and some beautiful stuff. But it's right now we're at the point where a teacher needs to think about the meaningful way to integrate it into your classroom. And something I say a lot is, it's one way to bring already excellent lessons to life. Educators are amazing. They've been doing amazing things for a long time. If there was a magic wand or some type of thing that you could use to take a regular existing awesome lesson and just enhance it with two results. Increase student engagement. Mm-hmm. Great as a teacher. If we can do that, we know we've got them. And then lengthen that time on task. I mean, and you know what? Using augmented reality, you can get both of them. And it takes some creative thinking, because there's a lot of things out there, and we talked about this, earlier. I don't know if it was on the show or pre-show. Trying to get someone who's not an early adopter to try. Okay, so we have different things that they can try. So a lot of the things that I do with augmented reality and Drew does, Ginger, they're not all that pretty. Here's a basic idea. But they're so engaging because the students are involved. They're passionate because they're creating now. So here's something. 8-year-olds. I teach 8-year-olds. Basically, Drew teaches 9-year-olds. They can do this. We take a piece of work that they've done, something they're proud of. This is out of a creative writing. Let's just use creative writing. They've worked on a piece that they've gone through all the steps. They've gone through the process, the draft, the revise, everything, edit. It's wonderful. They're proud of it. They're already invested. Then they make a piece that goes with it. Now they get the opportunity to share their story. It can be about their journey. It can be about their end result. Whatever the criteria we put on them as a teacher. So now I say, all right, go make that video. Talk about what you encountered doing this, or talk about the process. Or if they're younger, simply talk about the story. So now I go get 2 students, one to video, become the editor, and you know how Kevin says, it's like, oh, just take the video, it's okay, you'll get something good, it doesn't matter, you're involved, it'll be great, take pictures, so and so. So we have one student being the videographer. We have another student reading and talking about their journey. Then with the technology, we tie these together. We tie that video piece to the image recognition. So when they put their iPad up to that student work that they created, now they have another second level of engagement and experience for the end user. It's for students, it's for parents, it's for adults, it's for anybody walking down the hallway and so on. And that is like that simple connection to a piece of a student work to something they created. That simple marriage right there. It may not be flashy, but it is as deep as you can get. We talk about mile wide, inch deep. Forget the mile wide. Let's get back to the narrow. Let's get rid of all this extra stuff, and let's really get down to the nuts and bolts about what are we trying to do. Here's what we're trying to do. Look at what this student is able to accomplish. Look what they're working on. Look what they're invested on. That's the kind of student I want. That's the kind of adult I want coming out into my society, and that's the kind of person I want to be a part of working on in their life. I want to help inspire them. I want them to inspire others. I want them to help make this society a better place simply by working on that marriage and putting those together to show them that we are listening. We're going deeper with their learning and their engagement and stuff. So that's another soapbox. I know Drew said one soapbox. Yeah, that's another one right there. That's what it looks like for me.
Got a little passion there. That's good.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Well, I missed what he started off with because I was getting my charger, so the show didn't end. But for me, I think one of the most important things about AR is it allows you to bring things into the classroom that before were impossible. It allows you to explore things that you otherwise could not do. You know, I mean, with Daiquiri's element cubes, Elements 4D, the fact that you can hold mercury in your hand and combine elements and atomic models and things like that literally in your hand, because honestly, a periodic table is not that engaging to me, just a flat periodic table reading about that. But if I can hold it in my hand and manipulate it and make hydrogen bombs literally in my hand with these wooden blocks, I mean, that's powerful stuff. I mean, our app that's coming out soon, the planets, the whole solar system on your table. I mean, what a way to learn and explore and things like that and just go deep into it, you know? I mean, it's powerful. It really is.
I love that.
I'll keep it short since we're running long.
Oh, no, that's good.
We hope to be bringing that passion back out to Podstock again, Ginger. So, and we'll be bringing it other places, but you know that's our home away from home. So we're looking forward to that. We got the dates July 16th through the 18th. Somebody sent that to us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm guessing it's Diane.
I'll have to look. Yeah, but we've got a lot of action going on here. We have a lot of people who are really engaged in what we're talking about. There's a lot of great chatter out there, and that's what we want. We want this to continue. So thank you to everybody who's watching. You're with us on the Two Guys Show, episode 10 with Ginger Lewman. Having an absolutely wonderful conversation. We're getting near the end of the show. We're going to go into some Twitter PLN shout-outs so we can talk about other amazing people who are doing great things. I want to give a shout-out to them, and then we'll wrap up with a recap and contact information. So, Ginger, this is your chance to kind of give a little shout-out to people in the Twitter world, social media world that you kind of want to just say hey, and give them a quick shout out on what they're doing.
I don't think you have any idea how hard this is for me to come up with this, because it's like the Academy Awards. There's so many people I love, and I'm like, how do I leave them off? That's a jerky thing to do. So I'm just gonna do this, and I'm so glad that so many people that I was debating about are in the chat. So that's to John Martin and Don Wettrick. Thank you. You didn't make my list, but I love you anyway because you're real. Kevin Honeycutt, of course, my partner, my Yoda, Kevin Honeycutt.
Yeah,
there's a kid.
Yoda's a good term.
Yeah, there's a kid in I call him a kid. He's in Iowa, Bedingford, something like that. Aaron Maurer. He and I have had an opportunity to really talk hours in real life, face to face. His Twitter handle is Coffee Chug Books, and he's amazing thinker. In the gifted world, in the maker world, in the PBL world, he is a really gifted human being. There's Mike Poliquin. Like Harlequin, only with a Paul, and he's Mr. Poliquin, Poliquin, and he is somebody who has dove jumped off the dock head first. He and I kind of butted heads at first when we first met, and I started talking with him about PBL, and he said, "Nah, she's an idiot." And I said, "Oh my gosh, this guy's crazy." And we've come together, and thankfully at Podstock, and he is blowing my mind in hardcore project-based learning at the upper level maths. You gotta check out that guy. Vinny Vrotny.
Awesome.
Vinny Vrotny is a longtime friend in the Chicago area. V-R-O-T-N-Y. V-R-O-T-N-Y. It's like, I'm guessing it's Polish. There's no vowels in it. And he, super brilliant guy, again in the Maker Ed movement, been in ed tech for a lot of years. I don't want to... I'm an amazing guy.
Nice.
Super sweet and nice. Sylvia Martinez, she's S. Martinez. I'm gonna start. I hope not to insult her either, but I'm gonna adopt her as my mom because everything that she has done for years, and now this book, Invent to Learn, that she and Gary Steger have come out with, what she did is put together all of the dadgum research that I've been talking about, only I didn't do the research. I just said this is good for kids because I've seen it, and she's got all the hardcore research behind it. So Sylvia Martinez, S. Martinez with a Z. And lastly, because I know you only said 3 to 5, but you know me, I can't count. And the last one, I want to give a little love to my California friend, Alice Keeler, ALICEKEELER. She's an ADE, and she is a firebrand of
yes, she is.
Yep,
love
for
her.
sure.
Met her face to face at ISTE.
Yeah, she brings it. I was lucky enough to meet with her out at Q Rockstar Camp in San Francisco, and she brings it. That's for sure. There's no shyness there. She brings it, and she just does amazing things. She does a lot of awesome things.
Everybody on that list is just powerful. I am a much smarter person because of them.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that wonderful group of educators and people who influence you. And of course, there's many more that just know that they're in your group. We all know that. So, yeah. All right, Drew, come on, hit me with some people tonight. What's going on?
I'm gonna go with Kristen Matson, at Mrs. K Matson, MATTSON, on Twitter. She's awesome. She tweeted out that video link earlier I was talking about at the beginning of the show. Blew my mind. Super cool. So definitely check that out. And then Terry Eichholz. Every post she writes I love. No joke. I mean, she just does amazing things with her gifted and talented classes, 2nd through 5th grade. I mean, I would love to be in her classroom. I really would.
Yep.
So those are my 2 for tonight.
Yep, she does some great things, and it's cool. She's always sharing some really good stuff, so shout out to Terry Eichholz. You know what? I mentioned a bunch of people early, Joel Foster, Ted Hobb, Tom Driscoll, a lot of people we've been chatting with, Tom Alera, a lot of people in the Twitter world we've been chatting with and doing a lot of cool stuff. Definitely want to give a shout out to Kevin Hunt. I haven't shouted him out in a while. I know is he still overseas right now, Ginger?
Kevin, actually, he's at home for just a moment, and he's on his way to Hong Kong. He was in Calgary, and then he was in Oslo, and then he's on his way to Hong Kong in just a couple of days or hours.
Amazing. So shout out to Kevin and Todd as well, and Aaron. And I already shouted out Don. I thought that was so cool. He was playing, being a big kid the other day. Kelly McCall, of course, that we already chatted about. Laura Gilchrist, and a lot of others. And Erin Kress. I know she's doing a lot of cool stuff as well. Haven't had a chance to talk to her in a little while, but I know she's doing some stuff. I've been reading a lot of the things she's writing. So a lot of great people out there, and a lot of people we haven't mentioned. Just know we do see your stuff, and you're doing amazing things. Keep it up. Keep sharing with us. As always, please contact us directly and share things with us. Well, Ginger, let's. How can people get a hold of you? Give us some of the contact information for you.
Well, they can get a hold of me social media. I'm at Ginger Lewman. It's like Newman, only with an L. I'm also I've got email out there, but I don't always answer it. And I've got
you answer your email better than your text. I'll just say that.
I'm so sorry. You text me. I'm sorry.
Drew, I texted her earlier this morning, okay, and then I emailed her in the afternoon. I get like 2 or 3 emails back and forth. Right before the show, she's like, "Did I ignore your text?" I'm sorry. I'm like, "Well, you answered my email. It's all good. You know, usually it's the other way around, but that's all right. I forgive you, Jen. I still love you. It's okay."
Can I tell you I had a 911 call I had to make this morning? I'll just say that. So maybe my phone was busy at that time.
Ouch.
There we go. I hope everything was okay. So I didn't hear that story.
No, I live in the ghetto, man. That happens. I'm used to it.
Nice.
Cred, man. It's cred. It's where I come from.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
That's how you can get a hold of our guest, Lewman. You can also find her on best-keynote.com. You can find her at Ginger Lewman. And if you have anything that you're not sure about, just Google her. I'm sure she's easy to find. She's doing a lot of amazing things. So thank you, Ginger, for joining us. Drew, what is your contact information before we sign out?
I'm at TechMinoc on Twitter. You can find us always at our blog at twoguysandsomeipads.com. You can also find us on best-keynote.com as well.
All right, I am Brad Wade. You can find me at TechBradWade on Twitter. As we always say, please reach out to us. You can find us twoguysandsomeipads.com. If you're into Instagram, check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Drew handles more of the Facebook. I will handle more of the Instagram. So if you're interested in seeing Drew on Instagram, you don't see it often. It's my ugly mug on there. I get comments all the time because I always put my face on there as my screen, my starting point. So
it's pretty funny. Just watch any of the videos. It's pretty comical.
Drew gets a big kick out of it, but
I do.
You know, you'll get to see a lot of Two Guys stuff, but you also get to see some behind the scenes stuff. So find us on Instagram. All right. Well, Drew, you want to go ahead and sign us out again? Ginger, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Ginger. It's been awesome. So much fun.
Thanks for having me. It has been fun. You know, sometimes I get interviews and they're not as fun as this, guys. Love it.
Yay,
you can check us out on iTunes, of course. Make sure you subscribe there. You can download our podcast also on Stitcher. Definitely check out the EdReach shows on Stitcher as well, where you can download our podcast and many of the others from EdReach on there. You can follow EdReach at EdReachUS. There you go, Brad. Or you can find it at www.edreach.us as well. So definitely check those out, and you can tweet out EduWins with hashtag EduWin, and they got a lot of great things going over at EdReach. So thank you very much, Ginger, for joining us again, and it has been a blast.
Yep. Thank you for joining Thank you for joining us on the Two Guys Show. We hope you have a great week, guys. Check in with us next week, and as always, stay connected, our friends.
And have a happy Halloween.
Absolutely.